Have you ever prayed and felt like heaven was silent? Not angry, not distant, just silent. As if your words rose into the night and disappeared into the darkness. Maybe tonight feels a little like that. Maybe your heart is carrying questions, fears, or a quiet weight you cannot explain. And maybe you have whispered a prayer, hoping for an answer, hoping for comfort, hoping that somehow God would respond. But the night remained still. What if I told you that there was once a night when even Jesus prayed in that silence? A night when the Son of God himself knelt beneath the dark sky and felt the crushing weight of what was to come. Tonight, we step into that moment. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the scene. It is late. Jerusalem is quiet now. The noise of the city has faded into the distance, and the narrow streets lie still beneath the pale glow of the moon. A cool wind moves gently through the olive trees. Their ancient branches twist toward the sky, silent witnesses to centuries of prayers, tears, and whispered hopes. This place is called Gethsemane, a garden resting at the foot of the Mount of Olives. In the quiet darkness, a small group of men walks slowly along the path. Their steps are heavy. Their voices are quiet. They have just left the upper room where they shared a final meal together. They do not yet understand it, but everything is about to change. At the front of the group walks Jesus. His face is calm, but something deeper moves within his heart tonight. He knows what the others cannot yet see. The hours ahead will carry betrayal, suffering, and a cross waiting in the darkness. The disciples follow close behind him. They are tired. The long day has worn them down. Their eyes struggle to stay open as they walk beneath the olive branches. But Jesus stops. The garden opens before them. Moonlight spills softly across the ground, and the quiet of the night feels deeper here, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Jesus turns to his disciples. His voice is gentle, but there is a weight in it they have never heard before. Sit here while I go and pray. They nod quietly. Some sit against the roots of the olive trees. Others lower themselves to the ground. The air is cool. The earth is still. And the disciples begin to drift into the heavy sleep that often follows long journeys in full hearts. But Jesus does not sleep. Instead, he walks deeper into the garden. 3 of his closest friends follow him a little further. Peter, James, John. They have seen miracles with their own eyes. They have watched storms obey his voice. They have seen the dead rise. And yet tonight, they see something different. Jesus slows his steps. The confidence they are used to seeing in him seems to carry a different weight now. For the first time, they see sorrow on his face. A deep sorrow. The kind that cannot be hidden. He turns toward them, and the words he speaks are almost a whisper. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow, even to death. Imagine hearing those words. The one who calmed the sea. The one who walked on water. The one who raised Lazarus from the grave. Now standing in the darkness. Speaking of sorrow. What would you feel in that moment? Confusion? Fear? Perhaps the disciples felt all of that, and more. Jesus places a hand gently on Peter's shoulder. "Stay here and keep watch with me." It is a simple request. Stay awake. Stay near. Stay with me in this moment. Then Jesus walks a little farther into the garden, just far enough that the others cannot hear his words clearly. The moonlight falls across the stones beneath his feet. The olive trees sway quietly in the night wind. And for the first time since the beginning of his ministry, Jesus kneels alone. Think about that moment. The Son of God, kneeling in the quiet darkness of a garden. No crowds. No miracles. No sermons. Only the silence of the night and the weight of what lies ahead. Have you ever had a moment like that? A moment when the world grows quiet, when the distractions fade, and suddenly you are alone with your thoughts, alone with your fears, alone with a prayer that feels heavier than words? Perhaps tonight feels like that for you. Perhaps your heart carries something you have not been able to say out loud. A worry about tomorrow. A loss that still echoes in your soul. A question that has followed you through the long hours of the night. If that is where you are, then stay here in the garden for a moment longer. Because what happens next is one of the most powerful and human moments in the entire story of the Bible. Jesus lowers his head. The ground beneath him is cool. The night air brushes softly against his face. And for a moment, everything is quiet. The disciples behind him grow still. The city of Jerusalem sleeps in the distance. Even the wind seems to pause among the olive branches. And in that silence, Jesus begins to pray. But this prayer is not like the others. Something deeper is unfolding in the garden tonight. Something that will reveal the heart of surrender, the mystery of divine love, and the quiet strength that can be found even when heaven feels silent. And what Jesus is about to pray may speak directly to the deepest fears and hopes inside your own heart. But before those words are spoken, something unexpected begins to happen in the garden, and it will reveal just how heavy this night truly is. The garden is quiet. The moon hangs above the ancient olive trees, casting long silver shadows across the ground. A cool wind moves gently through the branches, carrying the scent of earth and leaves. Somewhere in the distance, a night bird calls. And beneath that pale light, Jesus kneels alone. Not far behind him, Peter, James, and John try to stay awake. Their bodies are exhausted. Their eyes grow heavy. They don't fully understand what is happening tonight. But they know something is different. Something in Jesus' voice. Something in his sorrow. Meanwhile, a little farther into the garden, Jesus lowers his head toward the ground. The silence of the night surrounds him. And in that moment, the weight of what lies ahead presses deeply upon his soul. Because Jesus knows. He knows the betrayal is already moving through the dark streets of Jerusalem. He knows that one of his own disciples is even now guiding soldiers toward this garden. He knows the cross is no longer far away. The suffering, the mockery, the pain, the crushing loneliness, all of it stands waiting on the horizon of this night. And for the first time, the full weight of that reality presses upon his human heart. Scripture tells us something astonishing about this moment. It says that Jesus was deeply troubled. that his soul was overwhelmed with sorrow. Think about that for a moment. The one who calmed storms with a word now stands before a storm that must not be stopped. The one who healed the broken must now walk into suffering himself. And so Jesus does something profoundly human. He prays. He leans forward, pressing his hands into the soil of the garden. The ground is cool beneath his palms. The same earth that his Father spoke into existence. The same earth that will soon drink the blood of sacrifice. And with a trembling breath, Jesus speaks. Father. Just that one word. Father. Not a distant title. Not a formal prayer. A cry from the heart of a son. If it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Imagine the depth of that moment. Jesus is not running from his mission. He is not abandoning his purpose. But the weight of the suffering before him is so immense, so heavy, that his human soul feels it completely. The cup he speaks of is not merely pain. It is something deeper. The burden of sin. The weight of humanity's brokenness. The darkness of every failure. Every betrayal. Every moment when people turned away from God. All of it. And tonight, he will carry it. Have you ever faced a moment where the path before you felt too heavy? A moment when you prayed something like, God, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe it was a loss you never expected. A relationship breaking apart. A season of uncertainty that left your heart restless at night. Moments when the future looked dark, and you whispered a prayer into the silence. That is the kind of moment Jesus is living in the garden right now. The wind moves softly through the olive branches. The night feels endless, and Jesus remains there on the ground, praying. Luke's gospel tells us something even more powerful. It says that his anguish became so intense that his sweat fell like drops of blood upon the earth. The sorrow is real. The pressure is overwhelming. Yet even in that agony, Jesus continues speaking to his Father. Not with anger, not with despair, but with honesty. Raw, vulnerable honesty. And after that moment of prayer, Jesus slowly rises to his feet. The garden remains silent. He walks back toward the place where his friends are waiting. Or at least, where they were supposed to be waiting. But as he approaches, the moonlight reveals something heartbreaking. They are asleep. Peter, James, John. Their heads rest against the roots of the trees. Their breathing slow and deep. Exhaustion has overcome them. They could not stay awake. Jesus stands there for a moment, looking at them. These are the men who walked with him for years. The men who saw miracles. The men who promised loyalty. And yet tonight, in his moment of deepest sorrow, they sleep. Gently, he wakes them. Peter, could you not keep watch with me for 1 hour? There is no anger in his voice. Only a quiet sadness. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Perhaps those words echo deeper than we realize. How many times have we wanted to be faithful? Wanted to be strong, wanted to stay close to God, and yet found ourselves weak, distracted, tired, overwhelmed by life. The disciples feel that weakness tonight, and Jesus knows it. But the moment is not over. The struggle in the garden continues. So once again, Jesus turns away from them. Once again, he walks deeper into the darkness between the olive trees. And once again, he kneels. The wind grows softer. The garden grows still. And this time, his prayer will lead to one of the most powerful words of surrender ever spoken. Words that will echo through history. Words that may change the way you see your own struggles, your own prayers, your own silent nights with God. But before those words are spoken, before the moment of surrender arrives, take a moment. If this story is speaking to your heart tonight, if this quiet moment in the garden feels strangely personal to you, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you feel comfortable, share in the comments where you are watching from tonight. Many people here pray for one another. You may discover you are not walking through the night alone. Now, let's return to the garden, because the next words Jesus speaks will reveal the deepest act of trust ever offered to God. The garden is quieter now. The moon has climbed higher in the sky, casting a pale silver glow over the ancient olive trees. Their branches move gently in the night wind, whispering softly above the still ground. Somewhere behind him, the disciples sleep again. But deeper in the garden, Jesus kneels once more. The weight of the night has not lifted. The path before him is still the same. The betrayal is already in motion. The soldiers are already gathering. The cross still waits in the darkness of tomorrow. And yet something begins to shift in this moment. Because prayer is not only where we bring our fears to God, it is also where our hearts begin to change. Jesus bows his head again. The earth beneath his knees is cool. The quiet of the garden surrounds him. And once more he speaks to his Father. My Father. The words come slowly now. Measured. Heavy with meaning. If this cup cannot pass unless I drink it. There is a pause. A long, sacred silence between heaven and earth. Then the words come. Words that have echoed across centuries of faith. Words of surrender. Your will be done. Not my will. Not my fear. Not my desire to escape the pain. Your will. Imagine the depth of that moment. Jesus is not suddenly free from the weight of what lies ahead. The suffering has not disappeared. The cross has not vanished. But something deeper has happened inside his heart. Trust. In the quiet darkness of the garden, Jesus places the entire future into the hands of his Father. Even when the path leads through suffering, even when heaven seems silent, even when the answer is not what the human heart would choose. Have you ever had to pray a prayer like that? A prayer where the words felt both powerful and terrifying. God, I trust you. Even though the outcome is uncertain. Even though the road ahead feels unclear. Even though the silence of heaven leaves questions unanswered. That is the prayer Jesus prays in this garden. Not a prayer of defeat, but a prayer of surrender. And surrender is one of the deepest expressions of faith. Because surrender says, God, I trust your wisdom more than my understanding. I trust your plan more than my comfort. I trust your love, even when I cannot see what comes next. The wind moves gently through the trees again. And in that quiet moment, something extraordinary happens. The Gospel of Luke tells us that an angel from heaven appears to Jesus, strengthening him. Not removing the trial, not taking away the cross, but strengthening him to walk through it. Sometimes God does not remove the storm. Sometimes He sends strength to endure it. Think about how powerful that truth is. In our lives, we often pray for escape. God, take this away. God, change this situation. God, make the pain disappear. And sometimes, He does. But other times, God does something different. He meets us in the garden. He strengthens us in the darkness. He walks beside us through the night. And slowly, quietly, He gives us the courage to continue. Jesus rises again. His face is still serious. But something in His spirit has settled. The struggle of the garden has led to surrender. And surrender has brought peace. He walks back toward His disciples. Once again, they are asleep. Their exhaustion has overcome them completely. The night has grown deep. Jesus looks at them, not with anger, but with understanding. Their weakness is human. Their hearts love Him, but their bodies have failed them tonight. So He lets them sleep. For a moment, everything is still. The olive branches sway gently overhead. The moonlight touches the garden floor. And the quiet feels almost peaceful now. But that peace will not last long. Because in the distance, something begins to move. A faint glow appears between the trees far down the path. Torches. Voices. The sound of metal. Footsteps approaching through the darkness. The moment Jesus has been preparing for has arrived. Judas is coming. The soldiers are coming. The night is about to break open. But Jesus does not run. He does not hide among the trees. He does not turn away from what lies ahead. Instead, He wakes His disciples gently. "Rise," He says. "Let us go." The one who knelt in sorrow now stands in courage. The one who prayed in agony now walks forward in surrender. Because the garden has changed something. In the quiet place of prayer, the battle of the heart has already been won. And the path to the cross has already been accepted. But the deeper meaning of this night, the reason this moment still speaks to hearts thousands of years later, is something that reaches far beyond the olive trees of Gethsemane. Because what happened in this garden speaks directly to the silent struggles inside our own lives. And that is where our story turns next. The night air was cool as the two disciples hurried back along the road they had walked earlier that day. Just hours before, that same road had felt heavy with disappointment. Every step had carried confusion. Every thought had circled around loss. But now their pace was different. Faster. Lighter. Filled with urgency and wonder. Because everything had changed. Jesus was alive. The man they had watched die on a cross, the one they believed had been lost to the grave, had walked beside them on that very road. The memory replayed again and again in their minds. His voice explaining the scriptures. The way their hearts had burned as He spoke. The moment the bread broke in His hands. And the instant their eyes opened. They understood now. The cross had not been the end. It had been the doorway. The suffering they could not understand had been part of a story far greater than they had imagined. And now they were running back to Jerusalem to tell the others. The journey that once symbolized defeat had become a road of hope. When they finally arrived, they found the other disciples gathered together. The room was alive with excitement. Before the travelers could even begin telling their story, the others spoke first. "The Lord has risen indeed." And suddenly the room filled with overlapping voices, amazement, and joy. The two travelers shared everything that had happened on the road. How the stranger walked beside them. How he opened the scriptures. How they finally recognized him when he broke the bread. And as they spoke, the truth became clearer than ever. Jesus was alive. Not as a memory. Not as a symbol. But alive. Present. Moving among them. Walking with them. Speaking to them. And that truth carries a powerful message for every generation that would come after them, including us. Because the story of the road to Emmaus is not only about two disciples long ago. It is about something deeply personal. Something that touches every life. Every person eventually walks a road like Emmaus. A road where expectations collapse. A road where prayers seem unanswered. A road where faith feels fragile. A road where we quietly whisper the same words those travelers spoke. We had hoped. But the message of this story is simple and deeply comforting. Even on the road of disappointment, God walks beside us. Even when we cannot recognize His presence, He is still there. Guiding, listening, teaching, healing. Sometimes we expect God to appear in dramatic miracles, in loud answers, in powerful moments that remove every doubt. But often, He comes in quieter ways. In the opening of Scripture, in a conversation that speaks directly to our hearts, in a peace that slowly replaces our fear, in the gentle realization that we were never truly alone. The disciples only recognized Jesus at the table, but He had been with them the entire journey. And perhaps that truth applies to your own life right now. Maybe you are walking through a season where God feels distant. Maybe your prayers feel like they are disappearing into silence. Maybe you are carrying questions that have no easy answers. If that is where you are, the road to Emmaus offers a quiet reassurance. God has not abandoned your journey. Even if you cannot see Him clearly, He may be walking beside you right now, guiding your steps in ways you do not yet understand. And sometimes, just like those travelers, we only recognize His presence when we look back and realize He was there all along. One day, the pieces connect. One day, the confusion gives way to understanding. One day, the quiet moments reveal something extraordinary. The God we were searching for never stopped walking with us. And perhaps tonight, wherever you are watching from, that same invitation remains open. Slow down. Breathe. Let the noise of the world grow quiet for a moment. Because the road you are walking may not be as empty as it feels. God still walks beside His people, just as He did on that quiet road to Emmaus. And sometimes, the moment our eyes finally open is closer than we think.